Josh, John Murphy, and Steve Tasker here. Thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. How you guys doing?
We're doing okay, working from home like everybody else, doing this radio show from home. Josh, we got to start with this. Kaleida Health just announced that you've committed to matching the next $10,000 in donations to Kaleida's COVID-19 response fund supporting healthcare teams. Tell me about that, Josh, and what do you got in mind there? That's very generous of you.
Yeah, obviously I have a pretty good relationship with Kaleida Health, and especially with John Children's Hospital. They're out there risking their lives every day to make sure that we are safe, and they're helping Western New York to the best of their ability. So I just wanted to do anything possible that I can to help them out in their efforts and make sure that they've got the right protective equipment and they got the right essentials that they need to continue to combat this virus and help out Western New York.
And you also jumped on board with Kim and Terry Pegula last week and donated some money as there as well. And it's really just a signal. Having all this stuff come out is really just a signal as to the situation the whole country's in right now. You guys, you're out in California, you're working out and all that stuff, but it's kind of the same all over, isn't it?
It really is, and it's unprecedented times that we're in, and it's scary stuff. And I'm glad that our Bills organization and our owners, Kim and Terry, showed the initiative to go out there and provide such a fund, and for me to be able to match that and give back to Feed More, Western New York, and the rural outreach program and get meals to people that need meals. Because it is scary times. People are scared to go outside. They're, it's like I said, it's a crazy time that we're living in right now, and it's something that's just not going to go away overnight. So. I'm a big believer, and if you can, you must. And that's why I kind of did what I did. And I know it's not huge amounts, but it's something that I wanted to push forward and give to the community of Western New York.
On the line with Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who is is going to match $10,000 in donations to the COVID-19 program at Kaleida Health, working with the Pegula's donations towards the community fund. Hey, Josh, what's it been like for you working in Southern California the last month or so with this coronavirus and quarantine going on? How has that affected your workouts?
Well, I'll tell you, it's gone down. We're not throwing as much. We're not having a big group of guys going out there. That's kind of dispersed. It's really just the guys that have been living together that we go out and we'll throw on the beach. We'll go find a park that's still open, and just go out by each other, not approach anyone, not high five or handshake anybody, and finding a family member's gym that we can work out in. And because, like I said, it's crazy times right now, and nothing's really open, so you got to find work wherever you can. It's just not a time to slack off, as many people might be doing right now. So we're just trying to stay healthy, stay active, practice social distancing, and keep each other safe, and really looking out for each other's families.
How often a week do you see Jordan Palmer? Usually you see him, a couple of times a week maybe? And has that changed, or has that hampered your ability to get coached up by Jordan?
It did definitely dampen some things, but we're still able to see each other and talk to each other, and that relationship, hasn't changed and won't change. We trust each other, and we can set up a video, and I can send him videos of me throwing, and he can tell me exactly what's going on. So that really, it just changed the dynamic of things, but it really hasn't, completely altered that thing.
And Josh, we had a great conversation with Jordan Palmer at the Combine in Indianapolis about 5 weeks ago, and Steve's heard me say this before, my favorite interview we've done this offseason. But he talked a lot about how you guys are kind of focused on connecting on the deep ball and sort of a mindset he had. He talked about, like dropping pins on a Google map as a mindset, as a frame of mind. Can you talk about that, what he's got in mind there and what he's doing with you?
Yeah, he's been helping me out a lot, especially with the deep ball, and we've been trying to get as much reps as we can with it. I know that's a point of emphasis that I need to work on this offseason, and it wasn't good enough last year. There's a lot of things that I want to improve on, and that's one of the many things. But as far as the mindset of just dropping a location on the pin, you're telling the receiver where to go and where to catch that ball and allowing him to go make a play. So obviously that comes with timing. It comes with knowing your guys. It comes with touch, anticipation, all those different types of things that we've been working on. And I definitely feel like I've been making some strides there. And, we're going to continue to keep pushing in that direction.
Well, and I know too that, and we'll get to your offensive line getting all re-signed in a minute, but you had one guy a new teammate that got picked up this offseason, Stefon Diggs. We're all back here in Western New York. We're all pretty excited about that acquisition. What can you tell us about how excited you were when you heard that trade happen?
I was pumped. I was super, super pumped. And, I'd gotten a call from somebody in our office and just saying, like, hey, I think we just did this. And I just was ecstatic. So, the things that this guy can do on the football field is unbelievable. The route running, the contested catches that he makes, the run after the catch. He's super elusive when he's got the ball in his hands. And, it's an extra element for our offense. It's going to take some pressure off our other receivers and tight ends. It's just going to help us out as a whole. And, if we do things the right way, we got to get in. We got to start learning each other, start getting compatible with each other, because if we're not on the same page, that move won't make sense. But I've got no doubt in what me and Stefon have already talked about and what we're trying to do here in Western New York. And we want to win football games, and he's a big believer in that too. And he's super passionate when he plays the game of football. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's exactly the type of guy I want to play with, someone that wants the ball, in critical situations, and someone I can rely on, somebody that is a competitor as much as I am. And I'll tell you, in this locker room, we've got a bunch of those guys right now.
It's funny, Josh, everybody that talks about Stefon Diggs mentions his route running. Tell me why that's critical for a quarterback, that a guy runs good routes.
He just creates a crazy amount of separation. If you got a guy that can, create 4 or 5 yards of separation, it's a lot easier to throw. You've got a little more wiggle room. You can take a little bit off the ball and let him catch it in a good spot and try to make some yards after the catch. So not only that, it sets up other things, double moves. It sets up different coverages that guys have to play, if they're going to double team him or not, and opens up, everybody else. So it's going to be fun to play with. Again, we got to do things the right way and make sure that we're on the same page and, start getting as friendly and football sense as we can with each other.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little earlier. One of the first things the Bills did was re-sign Quinton Spain. They also went out and got Darrell Williams, an offensive lineman from Carolina. It looks as though your front 5 on the offensive line are all going to be back. That's got to give you a sense of continuity, a sense of kind of comfort that you can, when you get in the huddle to call the plays, those guys are going to be looking back at you that are really familiar to you. That's kind of got to make you feel good about your offense going forward.
100%. Just the familiarity with the offense and the scheme that we're running. The vibe that our guys have, it's really like no other. I haven't seen anything like it. We all care about each other, especially that O-line group. They take good care of each other. They look after each other. They look after me, which I love, and I'm going to try to look out after them as much as I can. So, those are my favorite guys on the team, the guys that keep me clean and allow me to get the ball to our playmakers. So, I'm super pumped to have, the guys that we have coming back because, we got some dogs up front, I'm not going to lie. And to have that faith that I have in them, I think it's huge from a quarterback perspective to really trust those guys in front of you. And I got supreme trust in the guys that we have.
It's not just O-line, Josh. I wonder, we talked a lot on our show about how the Bills are a pretty stable group as far as people back and even coaching staff on offense. Brian Daboll's coming back, offensive line, as you just mentioned, coming back. In such uncertain times in the NFL, that could be a real advantage for the Buffalo Bills this season, huh?
Absolutely. We understand our offense. We're not switching up systems. Obviously, throughout the years, you're going to tweak things and try to do different things. And acquiring new players is going to, have you forced to do different things. But, returning the guys that we're all pretty familiar with our offense. We all love Coach Dable and have a super good relationship with him. And, you don't have to do a whole lot. You just got to make sure that our guys are staying in the loop. I got to check in with everybody in the offense and make sure that, they're staying on track and doing what they're supposed to do. If they need anything from me, I can relay it to them. So, this is crazy times. I think it goes back to that lockout was it in 2009 or 2010? I've talked to Jordan Palmer about it. He goes, the teams that handle this situation the best are the teams that are going to be playing deep into the year. So we got to make sure that we're staying on top of it, and I got no doubt that we will.
And one of the things about the continuity you got continuity last year in a year that you went to the playoffs. And I know that one of the things that happened last year, you went home with a bad taste in your mouth. What do you still think about when you take away from that Houston playoff loss down there on the road? What do you take away from that game that you still think about? And maybe when you talk to your teammates this offseason, what do you guys talk about when you remember this last season, the goods, the bads, the ups and the downs?
Well, we remember the last game for sure. We remember the missed opportunities that we had, the plays that I wish I had back, obviously. But if there's one thing I take away from it, it's having a home playoff game is huge. The momentum, the way the crowd gets into it, the familiarity with your own stadium, it does play a factor into it. So we've got to do everything in our power, to one, get back to the playoffs, and two, to secure a spot where we're playing at home, and we can give that back to Western New York, and they can help us out as Bills Mafia always does when we play at home. So that's one thing that's going to be an added emphasis this year, and obviously it's going to be a struggle each and every year that you play, and our first mindset is to make the playoff caliber, like Coach McDermott always says, and once we can do that, we really want to shoot for, home playoff game or two.
With Josh Allen, Bills quarterback. Hey, Josh, I read a story on, I think, ESPN, mostly talking to Kyle Allen, but he's working out with you and Sam Darnold with Jordan Palmer, right? And he talked about not just the workouts, but quite frankly, he said it's pretty boring around 1 in the afternoon when you guys, you play cards, you watch movies, you don't have much to do now with the quarantine in place, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're trying to stay as competitive as possible. We're playing video games against each other. We're playing cards against each other. There's not much to do, as you guys all well know. But we have a pretty good view, and we can see the ocean from our spot. So we're trying to enjoy it as much as we can.
What contact have you had with Brian Daboll? I know you guys have end of season meetings and all that, and you talk once in a while because you have a personal relationship as well as a professional one. But what kind of feedback are you getting from the club about what's going on, what you can expect in the coming weeks, and what contact have you had with Daboll and Ken Dorsey and Matt Barkley as well?
It's not a whole lot of contact, obviously. I'm not really sure the rules that are in place, but I'll give him a call every once in a while, and we'll talk about life, what's going on, how he's doing, making sure that his family is safe, and he'll ask the same for me. But as far as we know, it's just kind of a wait-and-see deal. We're not really sure what direction this is going to go in. We're not sure how long this is going to be, prolonged. So we're trying to stay ready as much as we can. Coach Daboll said he's expecting to go April 20th. That's when we're supposed to be back. And, again, if we're not allowed to go back by then, and obviously we'll adjust to then. But we're planning on as if we're going to be back in April, and which I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's the mindset that we have, and we'll adjust to anything else.
Well, Josh, keep up the good work both on the practice field with Jordan Palmer and especially with the amazing charitable donations you've made. Josh is committed to matching the next $10,000 in donations to Kaleida Health's COVID-19 response fund. That's great, Josh. We thank you for coming on today to talk with us about it.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Murph. Thanks, Dad.